Are you ready for the next crypto bull run? If not, you probably didn't know that the biggest gains are going to be made in the Web3 gaming space. Today we're going to take a look at the top 25 coins. I'm going to rank them in a tier list and give you a little bit of opinion on each one of these. How many of these coins will be winners and how many are going to be losers? Find out now. It's mission time. Welcome back, agents. Secret Agent Stash here. We're at GIA headquarters, and today we have a massive intel report for you guys. We are looking at what are going to be the best and worst performing tokens here in the next bull run. We don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but we do know that it is looming upon us. With the Bitcoin halving happening in next year, 2024, around the May mark, this is typically a catalyst for the entire market. Now, we know that gaming has been big, but it is 100% going to lead this bull run because there are so many great projects that have been in massive development over this last bear cycle, and now is the time to lock in those profits. So today we're going to take a look at 25 of the top coins that are in the gaming sector. I'm going to rank them in a tier list from S all the way down to Rect and tell you exactly why. Let's jump into the list and show you exactly what we're working with today. All right, so here's what we're rating today. This is a fairly large list. We're gonna go through this kind of quick. I'm not gonna spend that much time on each one because we've got a lot of tokens here, but I'm gonna try and give you the most important information about each one as we go through it, as we rank them. So on the list, in no particular order right now, we have IMX, Sand, AXS, ApeCoin, Gala, Illuvium, Enjin, Wax, Ronin, Prime Echelon, PYR, SLP, Ultra, Nakamoto Games, Gods Unchained, TLM, Polis from Star Atlas, Wagie, SPS, GameSwift, Mana, GFowl, EFI, Mynijia, and Decentral Games. So that's what we're working with today. And in no crazy particular order, we're just going to jump off here with one of the larger projects and one that you guys are all interested to hear about, which is IMX. So let's go take a look at Immutable and what they're doing right now. Now, IMX right now, when we saw this token, it came out, I mean, it just got a little bit of a tail end of the bull run here. You can see it kind of launched just as it was peaking, and we saw a peak at here pretty significant, about $9. Now, like everything else, it's bled out since then. Now, what we can say here is that Immutable is an incredibly solid platform. This is a company that has been developing for a long time. They're one of the companies that has been in gaming here in Web3 since the beginning. So they started off as Gods Unchained, and then they created Immutable and the Immutable platform, and they've been pushing the infrastructure for Web3 gaming for a long time. Now, a significant thing that we're going to be looking at today is the supply, the market caps, and fully diluted market caps, and what that means for these tokens here in a bull run. Now, a lot of these tokens have already seen a bull run here, and when they did, their circulating supplies were incredibly low. You can see IMX here currently has a circulating supply. Well, you can kind of see right here on this side. I'm gonna move myself to the other side. I'm going to the other side, guys. We're gonna go. There we go. Okay, so you can see here that the circulating supply right now, there's only about 58% of the total supply out there right now. That means that's how many tokens are out there. The total supply is 2 billion. So we still have a significant amount out there, right? The current market cap at $665 million. Once that is fully diluted, right, when every token is out, the market cap for this coin right now would be $1.14 billion, which is fairly significant, right? A very significant number. And so Immutable is one of the top projects. When it comes down to how I'm going to rank this for the next bull run, I think Immutable is going to do well. Are they going to reach all-time highs? I don't know that they will. I don't know that any of these tokens that have seen the 2021 bull run are going to reach those same highs if the token came out just before the bull run like Immutable X did. But to be perfectly honest, we're going to kick it off right now with an S tier with this token. Now, is this going to give you the massive gains that some of these smaller market cap tokens are going to give over this next bull run? No, it will not. But I do think it can get back to at least 50% of what we saw at its all-time high, so maybe around $4 or $5 with bull run euphoria, right? Bull run euphoria. All right, moving on. Let's go into Sand. Another token you guys know that I've been big into, and just so you guys know, I hold IMX. I also hold Sand. I'll tell you exactly which ones I actually do hold and which ones I don't as we go along too. All right, let's go take a look at Sand. So Sand has been out for a little bit longer than Immutable when it comes to time, but it's only been around for one bull cycle. As you can see, when Sand launched here, it was September 2021. It went almost a whole year before seeing this bull cycle here, right? And a similar case here. Almost none of these tokens we're talking about today have a fully diluted circulating supply. Like they're still trying to work on getting these tokens out. And this is a bad thing because it's essentially inflation on your tokens, and it has a dampening effect on the price over the long term, right? Not just short term, but long term. And we're really looking more long term here. And when I say long term, really this is like medium to long term, right? So you're talking about a year to maybe 2 years with these tokens, right? Is what we're talking about here, coming back for a bull market. So with this in particular, Sand at 30 cents here. I did a whole price prediction about Sand and this token. I do think it can get back to about 40% of where we saw with ATH, but a similar thing here. They're going to continue to push more and more Sand out there. It's a reward token essentially for a lot of people because they're earning this token in game. Now, as far as ranking this token and where I see it for future gains here in the bull market, I think Sand is a top project, and when it comes to metaverses, the top metaverse right now. So they have a bunch of great partnerships, and for that, I'm going to stick Sand at the A tier. Not quite S tier because I think they still have a lot to go when it comes to developing the platform and actually launching something that a lot of people can continue to use. They've been a little bit slow on that development, and that's coming from someone who is working and developing inside of the Sand ecosystem. All right, let's move on to our next project here, and it's a very similar project, Decentraland, Mana, right? You can see these tokens, Sand and Mana, are all at almost exact same levels. But the big difference here, right? The big difference here is that, Mana has been around a significant amount longer, right? It's already seen 2 bull-bear cycles, right? Bull-bear cycles. You can see here's the last one. It's right here. It's so tiny. Look at it. And we thought that was crazy in 2017 to sort of see this run up here to $3, $4, $5 in 2021 was a significant increase. Now, once again, looking at the market cap here at $560 million, they don't have a lot of tokens that are going to be coming out. Not that many more tokens are going to be coming out here to dilute that supply, right? You can see here that it's maybe about 300-ish million. Maybe like 400. We'll call it like 400 million more tokens, with a not a market cap to sneeze at, but fully diluted, we'd be looking at 650 million currently. So honestly, when it comes to the comparison of these tokens, they tend to correlate, but because there's less circulating supply that's coming out there, and technically probably less token locks, which we're talking about here in a second, I think that we could see Decentraland actually overtake Sand in this next cycle here because of that circulating supply being almost close to the total supply. Now, when we talk about one of the big things, when we talk about, hey, there's more tokens that are coming into the supply, and each token has its own unique way of doing this, right? Some of them are being given to people as rewards. Maybe they have a node, or maybe there are investors that are getting unlocks, right? Either a cliff unlock or like a linear unlock over time. And those are some pretty big things. Now, when you want to look at that information, one of the best places to go is a place here called Token Unlocks. I actually found this website through my buddy Johnny, Hustlepedia, and it is a great site. It really does a good job of aggregating all of that data. And when we go down and look at this list, guess who has a big unlock coming soon? IMX. Right? And they have quite a few unlocks like this, and this is one of the reasons why the token prices continue to go down. And they will go down over time until these things are out there, right? So you can see they have a cliff unlock here coming very soon, but so do a lot of other projects in our list here. You can see Ape has one coming up, cliff vesting, AXS also has one, Ronin has one, and quite a few other projects that are in the list today. So this is something else. Here's another one for Sand, also a cliff vesting that's going to be unlocked here. It's quite a few days from now, 132 days. So this is not going to be happening for quite some time. We could almost be at a bear market, or maybe out of this bear market into a bull cycle by that time. So when it comes down to it, Decentraland, I'm going to put it on the same tier as Sandbox. I do think it might perform slightly better. They've been neck and neck, over the last 2-3 years. But I do think that we could see Decentraland slightly outperform them just because of that factor. Now, Sandbox might have an edge because they are doing a lot better with their actual development and what they're doing with their whole ecosystem. A lot more partners, a lot more action going on right now with Decentraland. All right, Axie Infinity. That's what we're up next. So Axie Infinity is a token that, we've seen with a very similar story, right? The AXS token came out in early 2021, late 2020, and started taking off in early 2021 and had that huge run up here. Now we know the story with Axie Infinity. We know they became unsustainable, and the token has essentially, has been down since then, right? So, but you can say, hey, well, it's up since it was created. If you got in right here, then you're probably in pretty good. Now, what I'll say here is that, Axie Infinity is starting to make a comeback. Their ecosystem's starting to make a comeback. But in my opinion, I don't think it's because of Axie Infinity, the game. I honestly think this is because of the Ronin ecosystem and not necessarily because of AXS. Now, looking at this once again, the circulating supply is just a little bit over 50%. We have a lot more AXS that's going to be coming out here. And, do we see this coming back to all-time highs here? I don't. I mean, I think that we'll get back to a fraction of all-time highs here. I could see us probably getting back to this level, maybe the $20 or $30 level. Just because there's going to be massive competition here in this next bull market for game attention in the Web3 marketplace, and there are a lot of very well-developed games that are coming. And they're going to take that attention away from Axie Infinity. As much as people like playing it, there are going to be better things that are going to draw people away. So I still think Axie Infinity has a good chance for some profit here in the bull run. Is an okay buy at this point, in my opinion. So, but I'm going to stick them here on the B tier. All right, moving along. ApeCoin. Everyone's favorite NFT project. This is a project that has been really trying to pivot over into gaming. They've done a decent job, but the problem is finding more use case for Ape, right? They've put out some mini games trying to find ways to burn Ape, but it has been a very, very sharp decline since 2022 here, when we saw, this was post last bull cycle, right? So they didn't really have a big amount. I mean, they had a run up here, but not similar to what we saw in that bull cycle. And their circulating supply is only 36% out right now. And so you're talking about a fully diluted market cap right now. We're talking about $1.13 billion. As much as I love the Yuga ecosystem in general, I don't necessarily see this coin having enough use case right now. And everything I've seen from the games that they're bringing, there's not enough there yet. I don't know that ApeCoin is going to really make a massive recovery here when we really talk about this and where it's going to go in this next bull market, because they're just going to keep throwing more ApeCoin out there. Every time there's a new drop or a new something, it's earning Ape. You can get ApeCoin for something. So there's a lot of free Ape going out. In my opinion, I'm going to put ApeCoin down at the C level. I don't know that there's going to be a massive run-up for Ape unless something significant changes with this ecosystem. Do I see other side as an actual metaverse dropping in the next 2 years? I don't, actually. I think they'll do a lot more mini games, and they'll do a lot more to, satiate their overall, existing user base, but not necessarily bringing in new money. And so it's a lot of people just throwing the same money around. All right, looking at Gala Games here. Gala Games. Now, they've had a lot of recent trouble. You guys have known that. I've put a big spotlight on what they've done. And, similar to all these other projects, they've only seen one bull cycle here. They only have about 50% of their circulating supply, even though they did a very large burn here. And they do have some new burn mechanics, which it makes me a little bit more bullish on the project. Now, once again, they have a massive max supply here at 50 billion tokens, more than almost anybody else on this list. So if you think that we're going to see Gala getting back to, the 75 cent level, I don't see it happening. I don't see. I could see maybe 20 cents, you know, maybe 15 cents, somewhere around there. I could see something like that. I could see something like that for this token. The ecosystem that they're building is one of the better ones when it comes down to the games that are being built. Now, they're still kind of fumbling with their technology, but I do think that there could be some profit here at Gala, especially the fact that we've seen it really dip down to incredible lows here over this bear cycle. So looking at Gala Games and what we could be doing here, I think Gala has some legs, but I don't know that it's going to be something that's going to outperform an IMX or a Sand or Decentraland. I'm going B tier here with Gala Games. All right, next up on my list is Illuvium. Illuvium. Similar to the rest of these projects, well, you know, this project Coins was launched just in 2021, just a little bit before this bull market. One of the things I do like about how ILV works is it's very staking focused and staking heavy. And as a staker, you're going to be getting a hefty amount of any kind of you know, rewards that are coming back in, any kind of revenue. So I do like that. I do like that. Now ILV has a very, very low max supply. That I also like. Right? When you talk about the fact that they've really done a good job of making ILV be something that is going to be used for a lot of different aspects in the gaming ecosystem in the future. Now, right now, under development, there's not a lot of use case for it, but that's something they're building towards. They're not going to launch that until a lot of these games are ready to be launched, but they are still in early development. I do think over the next 2 years, we will see this game fully launch with their trifecta of different games. So, you know, but once again, circulating supply is still incredibly low. Now, the way that these tokens are being emitted, that might be a little bit in their favor. I do see some bigger numbers here for Illuvium in the next bull run. In particular, with the quality of the game that they're building, I do really think that combined with the mechanism for staking that they've put into play could really make them a clear standout winner here in this next bull run. I am going to go S tier with Illuvium. I think there's a lot there. Even though there's not a lot of circulating supply, like their unlock schedule here over the long period of time is a little bit different than some of these tokens. All right, moving on to a pair of tokens here. We're going to start off with Enjin is the first one. Enjin coin here at 22 cents. Now, this is one of those coins that has been around a long time. Very similar to Mana, right? You can see that they launched here just before the last bull run. In November it was October, November, and boom, there's the bull run of 2017. It looks like a tiny blip on this, right, compared to last year. Now, when you talk about the euphoria and things like that, that's the one thing, like the hype, right? The unfounded hype that we see in these bull cycles, where it doesn't matter. Like fundamentals don't matter, the charts don't matter. It just things go crazy. People are investing like crazy. Now, this is one of the only tokens on this list that already has a fully diluted total supply. Everything's out there. No more Enjin is going to be created. It's all gone. It's all there. As you can see, 100% of Enjin is out, right? And so right now with this fully, you're talking about fully diluted at 226 million. I think Enjin actually has some pretty good legs here in this next bull run. There's not going to be any more inflation for this token, and they're making some big changes at Enjin. It has been up in the air for the last year or almost 2, I would say, probably maybe close to 3. But they have really been laying the foundation, and how they roll out this next big change is going to dictate how well they do in this bull run. But I do think that Enjin is going to be a mainstay. I'm going to see them here at the A tier. So once again, kind of looking back at some of these coins, I do own Enjin. I do own a tiny amount of ILV, not a lot. I do own also a tiny amount of Gala and some AXS as well. I don't own any ApeCoin. I'm not huge in the ecosystem for Yuga. I do have an other side deed, but I don't have like a ton of ApeCoin just sitting around for good reason. Because if I did, I'd probably be underwater at this point. Now, point in case with the other token here that kind of has to do with Enjin is Efinity. Now, this was a token that they were doing that was going to be the new native token for Enjin because they were moving over to Polkadot and creating their own Polkadot ecosystem. Now they've kind of backtracked on that and they're creating what they call is the Enjin chain, right? So Efinity as a token, you know, at 50% circulating supply and a $2 billion max supply here, market cap not, you know, fairly small. I mean, we need a significant increase in market cap here to really hit that that fully diluted and you know, be at a point where, okay, this would make sense. I think EFI is completely wrecked. I don't see this coming back. I don't know that they're going to be able to do something with this token. I don't really know exactly the future of Efinity in general, especially with this pivot. Now, they do say there's going to be a place, but I just don't know that at this point that they have made a clear enough plan where it's going to make sense in this next bull run. And I think we're going to see a lot of people dumping EFI, and I don't know that it's going to have that kind of same bull run here, you know, kind of like hype and euphoria as we might see for Enjin as they start to come back into a renaissance with their platform and start building more games onto it. I think EFI is wrecked, so we're going wrecked with that token. Now, another significant one here is Wax. Now, this is a weird token because of how it came out and it hit this crazy all-time high because of some differences of the way the token was issued originally, which is why we have Wax P now, not Wax as a token. There's a whole story behind that. I'm not going to go into it, but that's why this chart in particular looks worse than almost all the other charts. It's like, man, it was this high and then went down. Even in the bull run of 2018, it did almost nothing. Well, that is kind of true. Now, the thing is with Wax is that, you know, there's a lot of action and activity on the Wax blockchain. You know, it has done an okay job of maintaining some price action here from this last, you know, but around 5 cents has been a kind of standard for Wax. A nickel has been kind of a meme inside the Wax ecosystem. Now, like I said, there's a lot of volume on Wax as far as transaction volume, right? Transaction volume. And funny enough to see that the market cap here is actually higher than a project that I'm going to actually rank it lower than, which is Ronin. So as much as I like Wax, the main problem I see here with Wax is the fact that you know, unlimited tokens for one, and the fact that you know, a lot of projects get abandoned very quickly on the Wax ecosystem, and the team themselves, the Wax team themselves have been kind of all over the place, have not done the best job on making sure that things are you know, heading in the right direction, I would say. So in my opinion, I'm going to put Wax at the C tier. Can it come back? I think there is going to be some action. I just don't know that it's going to be better than some of these other tokens here because the lack of leadership in the development of the Wax blockchain. All right, next up is Ronin chain. This is one of the Web3 gaming chains that has a ton of activity right now, mostly because of Axie Infinity. But they have they have been improving their tech here over the last year or two, and they have been quickly adding more games to the Ronin chain, and that to me is bullish. People seeing what Ronin can do and then jumping ship from other chains. Now, when you look at the circulating supply, it is very low at 25%, one of the lowest circulating supplies of all of these tokens. Now, do I think that we're going to be able to get back to some all-time highs here of like $3? No, I don't think so. Not with this many tokens still needing to become out. We may be able to get back to a fraction of something like this. I could see us getting back to maybe the 50-cent level. I mean, I'm sorry, the 75-cent level we see right here. And these are relative, right? See, these are levels that we've seen this year, and for good reason. But are we going to get back to some of these higher levels of $2 or $3? I think it's going to be hard. It really depends on how many tokens are going to be emitted here during this bull cycle that's coming up. But really, I think the big factor is how many games are going to be coming, and is there going to be a big successful game outside of Axie that can carry them into the mainstream markets? That being the case, I do think that Ronin does have some legs. I think that there is a strong community behind that, and with a strong community, there comes crazy hype pumping, right? That's how I look at it. So I'm actually going to rate Ronin here on the A tier, along with Sand, Enjin, and Decentral. I do own a little bit of Ronin, not a ton, like a moonbag of Ronin. A moonbag of Ronin. All right, moving on to Echelon Prime. This is the token for a game that it just launched called Parallel. It is a TCG everyone is really loving. Now, Echelon Prime came out and it pumped pretty big to start, and we've seen a pretty good run up here over the release and launch of the game. But once again, when you look at the circulating supply here, it very incredibly low, and then the adoption rate of new TCGs, which is also incredibly low. I think that this game is going to do well. I don't think their token is going to do well over the long term. I think the game itself is actually going to do quite well. I just don't think the token itself is going to continue to increase in value. Now, we may see it dip here down to some lower levels. We could see some of these lower levels here, but is it going to go higher than what you see right now, like and currently explode? I mean, back to all-time highs, maybe, but with this many tokens out, it's going to be all hype in a bull cycle, and then after that bull cycle is done, this thing is going to dump. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see it dumping here, counter-trading the market over the next 6 to 8 months. So when we look at Echelon Prime and its potential here for the bull cycle, I am going to put it here on the C level. I think it just has too many tokens to go, and unless it really gets that big community push, I just don't see it doing or outperforming any of these other tokens here at the top. All right, let's move on here to Vulcan Forge, PYR. Now, this is a product that, once again, launched their token in the year of a bull run, right, in 2021, and, they had a huge run-up, to 30-something plus dollars. We're about $3 right now. They've done a pretty good job of fleshing out their ecosystem since then. Originally, this was really just like one kind of metaverse world, but they have added some of their own games. Now, when I go look at some of these games, I don't think, man, these are high-quality games that everyone's going to want to play. Even the fact that they have some partnerships that have been pretty big here, I don't know that PYR is going to be a huge hit game-wise. Now, token-wise, not too bad looking, actually. Not too bad. This is one of those ones classically that people love to hype, right? We've seen a lot of hype for this token. Right now, total supply at $50 million, 50 million tokens, right? And, we're about 55% of the way here when it comes to circulating supply. So a significant amount of tokens still to be emitted. These tokens are going to come out over the next few years, right? And so you look at something like this, how well is it going to do in a bull market? I think that actually this token could do fairly well as long as they continue to push that ecosystem and get more players in and really foster some of these partnerships that they're just starting to release. PYR, in my opinion, has some chance here. I don't know that we're going to see a massive run-up for this token, but I think it's a solid B tier. I think there are definitely some profits to be had here in the bull run with PYR, especially if they continue to push those partnerships. All right, moving on. SLP, shit is flatlined. I don't tell you guys, this is a rewards token, and when it comes to just a token that is 100% focused on just rewards, it's not looking so good to me, right? It's not looking so good to me. So obviously, infinite supply. This is not a token I would ever be buying. Do I feel like the price is going to recover? Probably never. I see SLP as wrecked. I don't think that it's ever going to come back. I don't think there's ever anything they could ever do for SLP to get any more profit out of it. I mean, not really, man. Unless you're buying dirt cheap at this point, maybe you could ink out a few percentage points. All right, Ultra UOS. This is actually one of my favorite projects, and I have been invested in US for a little while, so I do own some of this. I actually do. I don't know if I own any SLP anymore. I don't think I do. I don't own any PYR or any Echelon Prime, but I do own some Ultra. Now, I mean, once again, you look at Ultra here. The circulating supply, is a little bit, once again, it's less than 50%, so there's a lot more supply to come out there. Now, we don't have numbers on the max supply here, which is kind of weird, but when it comes down to what Ultra is doing, they have done a really good job. Their token has done a good job of maintaining price levels that we saw, even well before that 2021 bull run. And the project has been around for quite some time. We're talking about a 2019 launch here. So they've been emitting tokens very slowly, which is a good sign in my opinion. The fact of the matter that they're bringing bigger and bigger games on board, and they're doing a very good job of building this out and not rushing things. It's a big thing we see a lot with projects rushing stuff all of the time. Ultra is not rushing it, man. They're really taking the time to get a solid platform out there and to get some solid games on there under the guise of, hey, tokenize your game and be able to resell it when you're done playing it. It's competition for Steam, which is huge, but out of everybody who could be competition for Steam, Ultra actually has a decent chance to do so. And they do incentivize people as well, even though the Ultra token or the UOS token is not really a reward token in itself, right? So given that case, I really do think that Ultra has some pretty big legs, especially at this level, at the 12-cent level. I am going to go S tier with Ultra. I do own Ultra, like I said, and I do think it is going to be a great buy. I really think that they're a solid company, and they're working on a very solid project. All right, up next, we have Nakamoto Games. Naka. Nakamoto, once again, released their token just before that giant run-up in 2021. I think there was a lot of projects that were really pushing to do that because they knew that it was coming. Everyone could feel it, you know. And I know a lot of projects kind of pushed to get their token out. So once again, 40% circulating supply out here right now. Fully diluted market cap is actually not that bad if this ecosystem could start to take off. Now, Nakamoto Games is all about having a bunch of like casual, fun, arcade-style games that, you know, allow you to earn crypto, allow you to play and earn. And none of these games are what I would call like a flagship or a hit title, right? A lot of the games resemble some of your basic mobile games that people love to play. But don't take very seriously, right? So it's a lot of casual gaming is kind of the focus here. You know, with the token itself, I think that, you know, they have a decent ecosystem. I just think they need to find who their target market is with their gaming ecosystem in general. Do I think they can get back to all-time highs? I don't think so. I think we could see them getting back to maybe $1 or, you know, $1.50, $2 level, but I don't see them getting back to this $5 or $6 level with a decent amount of their circulating supply still to go, even though they have a fairly low max supply here at only 180 million. To me, that still seems like it could be a decent buy at this level. You know, look at some of these, like obviously, if you were going to want to buy it, the 2022, you know, would be great, right? Would be great here at 7 cents. It's made some strides since then. So we've seen some decent token action over the last 2 years because of the ecosystem. So if they keep pushing, we could see some movement here from Nakamoto Games. I'm going to go ahead and put them at B tier. I think that they do have some prospects here, and I think that you know, if you play this right and buy something like this on a dip, like right now, this is not the time to be buying Nakamoto Games. Not really, right? Quickly look at the 1 month. They've had a recent run up here, and this year they've been doing incredibly well. You want to wait for a dip on this, right? You want to wait for a dip on something like this. All right, heading over to Gala Unchained. Once again, in a similar fashion, it looks like it's flatlined almost. You know, this token hasn't been out as long as SLP, but it serves a very similar purpose. People are earning this token, and then they're dumping it. As much as I love Gods Unchained at only 50% circulating supply and a fairly large supply out there, 500 million tokens, I don't know that we're going to see a massive resurgence with Gods Unchained as a token. Once again, as a TCG, it's a niche type of game. I love TCGs, but most people don't. They're not the most popular genre of game out there. And there's a lot of really big, staunch competition in things like Hearthstone and Magic the Gathering. So when it comes to Gods Unchained, I hate to do it, but I'm going wrecked with the token. I don't see a large increase over the next bull run for this token. Maybe a little bit of yield that we'll see. Looking at TLM, Alien Worlds, very similar situation. This is a company that actually started, you know, pretty early. They had a little bit of an edge in early 2021 when there were only a few games that were really doing anything, and they blew it. They've never really done much development on the game. There hasn't been much added to the game over the last couple of years, and I don't know that we're ever going to get back to the point where there is, and you can see totally flatlined. I don't think there's any gains to be had in this next bull run. I don't think we're going to see a significant price increase either. You can see here in 2021, I mean, it didn't even do more than it did in, you know, in May, you know, before there was even a run-up. So, in my opinion, TLM completely dead, completely wrecked, and it's not coming back. GFAL, games for a living. It sounds nice, doesn't it? It sounds really nice. This is one of the newest tokens on this list right here, with a release just this year in March. Now you can see, man, they're on a pretty good run up here. And why? Because there's so little amount of token out there, right? On a massive, massive total supply of 10 billion tokens. Only 10% of that is out right now, which means in a smaller market cap token like this, at only about 26 million, it's very easy for people to manipulate this, right? Very easy for people to manipulate this. Now, do I think that we're going to see some more room for this in the bull run? I think there could be some room for this, in particular just because of hype and because of how little amount of supply is out and because of manipulation. Not really necessarily because it's a quality project, in my opinion. So when we talk about GFAL, I'm going C with GFAL. It's not completely wrecked at this point because it's a little bit too early maybe to tell because the ecosystem is not fully developed. If they get a hold of some gamers over this next cycle, we could see a little bit. We could see it bump up to maybe a B tier for the type of profits you're looking for. All right, let's head into the last few we have here. Star Atlas with the Polis token. Now, Star Atlas has actually two different tokens. They have Polis and Atlas. Polis is the governance token, where Atlas is kind of the rewards token or the platform token. A lot of Atlas is being earned in rewards, and Polis is the one that you would use for governance. Now, I'm only going to talk about Polis here, and as you can see, in its all-time here, it didn't get a lot of love here over the last cycle, because it was a quick rump, and then it was a lot of up and down because there was a lot going on with Star Atlas. Hasn't had almost any price action, so it is right now fairly ripe for a buy zone. But once again, we're less than 50% of the circulating supply out right now. Not a massive max supply at 360 million. But, fully diluted market cap, also not very big. For a game like this, if Star Atlas can continue to develop and their community continues to support them, which they do a really good job, they have a great community, that is a big thing. They're a great and vocal community, right? Everyone says our community is the best, but Star Atlas shows it, right? Star Atlas shows it. So I do think that they have some legs here in the next bull run. I don't know that we're going to see them get back to a $14 price level. I really don't. I think that we could probably see maybe like $1, maybe in this level here, maybe almost the 2, going to maybe 3, really depending on hype here. But I do think that there is something still squeezed out. I'm going B tier with the Polis token. All right, Wagie Games. Similar to some of these other tokens, very, very new. 2022 is when it came out, but they haven't really been doing much until really this year when we saw some action start to happen with this token. And you can see we've had a massive run up here for Wagie Games over the last couple of months because they have just gotten their launch of their game, right? And anytime there's a launch of a game like this, there's going to be a massive run up, a lot of speculation, but you can see we've already given back a ton of those profits, and I think we're going to continue to do so. Now, the success of this token hinges on the success of one game. And now it is a mobile focused game, which I do think is going to really help push this next bull run. But, when you look at, the circulating supply, this is where it's really interesting, right? In just this short amount of time, they've actually been able to get 82% of that circulating supply out right now. So if we see Wagie drop to a little bit lower levels here, maybe what we've seen with about this level right here, it could be a pretty good buy. Now it still needs to go a little bit further, but this could be a great token to hold on, in particular a moon bag of these for the next bull run. And there could be some massive profits to be made on this token with this much supply out. Even though there is a massive amount of supply out there. You're talking about a max supply of 2.2 trillion. Yeah, that's why the token price is so low here, right? So low. Wagie Games, I'm going also B tier. Going also B tier because there is potential there, but it does hinge a lot on the game itself and how well they do as a mobile game, which could drop them down to C very, very quickly or even wrecked. All right, talking about Splinterlands here, SPS at about 1 cent. A similar thing. SPS has been much a reward token. It saw a big run up in 2021 after it kind of launched here, earlier in 2021 that year, but it's kind of bled out since then, and has really found a bottom here. Now, do I think SPS is going to come back? I don't know that we're going to see a significant increase. The circulating supply out there is still very low. The team themselves, seem to be on a little bit of a rocky footing of where they want to go with everything they're doing with Splinterlands. They're trying to expand their ecosystem, but in ways that don't make sense to me. And SPS has not been at the forefront of them trying to find ways to burn the shit out of this token, which they need to do. So in particular, I would say SPS for this next bull run is not going to make it, guys. I think that it's on the same level here. I almost want to put it C tier, but at this point, I think it is wrecked. I don't know we're going to see SPS really come back for the game. I don't think we're going to see it. Okay, we got 3 more to go. And this next one, Decentral Games. Decentral Games. The thing about this is people love playing poker. And Decentral Games has done the best job of making a viable solution or gaming solution inside of Decentraland. They're one of the most successful projects there. And we look at this circulating supply. This is one of those tokens that came out just after, a little bit it missed the 2021 bull run by about a month. So you can see like when it launched, yeah, okay, there was a lot of hype, but then it's just kind of bled out since then. So it really hasn't seen a lot of bull run hype for this token. I do think that we could get back to some of these higher levels. I don't know that we're going to get maybe this level, you know, but really it comes down to how much people want to adopt this and how well Decentraland does itself in this next bull run too. Now, circulating supply, there's already 73% out there, but once again, you know, this is a governance token. So that is something to me that can be very bullish. Now, fully diluted market cap is only 18 million. I think that is incredibly achievable when you talk about like, okay, yeah, once this is fully diluted, could we see this skyrocket? We could. We really could. So I think Decentral Games is out of everybody, is doing a fairly good job of what they are really trying to do, metaverse poker. They own that shit. They own that shit. So I do think that there are some room for some profits here in the next bull run. I'm going to go A tier actually with Decentral Games. I may regret this one. I may regret, out of all the other A tiers here, I know I'm not going to regret these. But Decentral is the one that I'm thinking I might regret, but I'm still going to go A tier with it. I do think there is quality there, and I do think that we have some potential. All right, next up is the Mynijia ecosystem. So Mynijia, a lot of people would compare to Gala Games, where they have a node-based ecosystem where like you run a node and it runs the you know, decentralized hubs or servers for their games. Now, very similar to Gala Games, you know, they're emitting a lot of tokens to people who own nodes as rewards. But guess what? They're way earlier on than a Gala is. So that is a good and bad thing, I would say, at this point. Now, they have a massive token supply, and only about 8% of that is out right now. So more and more of these tokens are going to be issued. And, you know, right now there's a lot of selling pressure because people are getting these tokens and then they're selling them. And they're getting them and they're selling them. And they're getting them and they're selling them. You know, so that is a pretty big thing. Now, what we will say is that we've never seen a bull run with this token. We've never seen a bull run with this token. So if it can kind of hold on and not drop too much over the next year or so, you know, like have any significant events, we actually could see a little bit of upside here in the bear market. Now, right now may not be the best time to be buying this. You know, I think we could see it probably go a little bit lower than where it is right now, unfortunately, because of those tokens being emitted. So maybe look for this as a buy in the next 6 to 8 months, maybe 10 months too. With the Mynijia token, I definitely see some potential there. I'm going C tier with Mynijia. I feel like their games and things they're doing are not on the same level as Gala. They maybe don't have as many problems, but with a similar ecosystem, I do think that there is some potential there, just not a ton. All right, last on our list here is GameSwift. GameSwift. Now, this is a token that is also fairly new. Just came out here in 2023, saw a big run-up just this summer, and now we've seen it kind of slowly bleed out here, and then we've seen a nice little pump here recently. So obviously, this is where you wanted to buy, right? This is where you wanted to buy. Now, out of all the tokens, once again, this has the lowest amount of tokens out there right now, which to me, what does that mean? That means it's easy for a whale to go and manipulate this whenever they want, and that could easily be the case here when you see something like that. Oh man, this is counter trending, bear market, bro. It must be an amazing project. Well, it could just be whales pumping the shit out of this project because there's not that many tokens out there, and they can do that sitting on fat bags, right? A pretty large circulating supply here with you know, with 1 trillion tokens, or I'm sorry, with 1 billion tokens, 1.3 billion tokens out there, which is fairly significant, right? You know, hasn't seen a bull run yet, but after looking at the GameSwift platform, I don't know that I don't know how well I'm sold. But you know, once again, because they haven't seen that bull run, you cannot outfactor the hype. Right? People will hype a project beyond all the fundamentals, out of all of the numbers, running the numbers, and they're just like, oh, it's going to go to the moon. GSwift has not seen that moment really yet, and I do think that it could. I do think that it could. We're going to go B tier with GSwift. We're going to go B tier with GSwift. So there you go. You know, when you look at these projects, one of the biggest things is to look at is like, how are the tokens being emitted? How are they getting out there? Because when that is going to signify, well, then are people going to be selling these tokens? Why would they be selling them? Is it going to create sell pressure, or is something they're doing going to create buy pressure? Things like burns or buybacks or staking. Those are big things to look at some of these games. Regardless, I think most of these games are going to do fairly well in the next bull run, and finding that perfect entry right now is what we're looking to do over the next 6 months, and that's what I'm also looking to do myself. All right, agents. Well, there you go. 25 of the top crypto gaming tokens ranked in a tier list with my quick opinions on each one. I try to go through them as quickly as possible. I probably didn't get as much information to you as I could, but this is kind of how I see a lot of these tokens and how I'm going to be kind of playing it. It's time to look for those entries. If you guys want to talk with with me and the rest of the agents in the Gaming Intelligence Agency, jump into our Discord. Jump into our Discord and let's talk about it and get ready for this next bull run, because gaming tokens are going to make people millionaires, and I can guarantee it. All right, agents, that's all we have for today. Till next time, Secret Agent Stash, over and out.
Secret Agent Stash. Secret Agent Stash.